So today we're taking a quick look at this power inverter. It's made by a company called YSOLX, and this is a 500 watt inverter. Essentially what an inverter does is it takes a DC output and turns it into an AC output. So in particular for this, we're looking at powering something like, say, a laptop inside of your car while you're traveling. So once it's out of the box, this is what it looks like. You can see it has two AC outlets as well as two USB ports, and the USB ports are at 2.1 amps. There are two different ways to power this, okay? So there's two different cables. The first is just a regular cigarette lighter 12 volt outlet. Now, the cable on this is pretty thin. The packaging on this says that when you're using this, it's limited to 150 watts, which is plenty enough to charge, say, like a laptop. But if you want to run, say, like a small kitchen appliance or something like that, you actually have to use these cables, which are much more sturdy. It's got these little alligator clips on them. In order to do that, you have to attach it directly to the battery. Now, this is fused. I can't find the fuse on the instructions. I can't find a fuse rating, so I don't know how many amps this is rated to. But we're gonna find out if it can run some simple appliances. Now, in order to connect those cables on the back, it just has these little, essentially nuts that you take on. You put the little circle fittings over the end of the bolt, and you clip it on black to black, red to red. And there's a little power switch on the back. So let me take this out to the truck, which I actually have a solar power system on, but we're going to attach this to that and to see if we can just charge a laptop and maybe even run a small kitchen appliance. All right, so we're out here at the truck, and we've got that cigarette lighter adapter on this inverter. Just put it down here, get one of these cigarette lighter ports available to us. So we got that plugged in. And then all we'll do now is switch on the switch. That little cooling fan comes on, and then a green light on the front shows that you have power. Now, let's plug my laptop in and see if we can charge it. So, we just plug it in just like a regular AC port. And that little red light there tells me this laptop is charging just fine off of that. Let's make sure this turns on. I hit the power button. There it is. Alright, so now we're charging that laptop. Now it does have some USB ports there, so let's see if that'll charge my phone. I got a little USB cable here. It's just my computer turned on. Okay, so now we got that plugged in, and I'll just plug it into my phone, which I'm actually recording on right now, but let's see if it's charging. Sure enough, we're charging. All right. Now it will say, and we'll go check out the battery clips on this here in a second. It would have been nice if the case had maybe some little flanges with screw holes for like a more permanent, like if I was going to use this all the time, I could just screw it down there, but you could always use some kind of strap or maybe some adhesive double-sided tape or something to stick that somewhere. But it would have been nice if it had kind of a more of a screw mounting option. But all right, so that's charging my laptop just fine. Let's see if we connect directly to a battery, we can run something that takes a little bit more power. All right, so we're back here in the passenger compartment of my truck, and I happen to have an auxiliary solar battery in this vehicle. Now, not everybody's going to have this. You could totally just run it off the battery underneath your hood. So I've got these alligator clips attached to the battery terminals on this battery. We got a green light, and this is powered on. Now I have an electric kettle here. Now this electric kettle is 1500 watts. So this should not be able to power this, but it will tell us what happens when we overload this. So I'm just gonna flick this kettle on, and it's gonna draw too much power from this, and we'll just see what happens. All right, see we got both a audio warning, and it turns red. Tells us we're drawing too much power. It can't run this. Now if I switch that off, see what happens. Does it automatically reset? No, it's just giving me a warning. So I'm gonna try and run it again. No, it won't even let me run it. All right, let's turn it off. Let's turn it back on. It turned green. Okay, and so it just reset it. So yeah, basically it tells us we can't run this, which is obvious because it says it draws 1500 watts. This is only a 500 watt inverter, continuous. So yeah, so it's not going to run this, but you could check out the wattage rating of whatever appliance you're thinking about trying to run and seeing if your inverter might be able to run it. This one clearly can't run this, but I knew that in advance. But now we know what happens if you do overload it. It's pretty easy to reset. It lets you know both with an audio cue and a visual cue that you're drawing too much power. But that's the YSOLX 500 watt inverter.